Yeah, last time we talked about the structure of the ear and the eye, and we did some revision about the eye. So we covered the ear. So we're gonna do some few questions about the ear, and then from there we're gonna have to shoot to the next topic, that is uh, human endocrine system. This topic is very simple, but sometimes kids, they find challenges when it comes to this topic, the human endocrine system. So we're gonna have to look at the way how we can solve those problems, so that you are able to answer any questions when it comes to the exam. So let's do a simple recall about the human ear. I might ask some people now to be giving me some answers. But let me just. So here we have a question. Whenever they give you a question of the any structure, make sure that you label everything. We don't know which questions they have asked, but make sure that you label everything. Remember, on our ear, we say that this part, we said, let me call it P, we say it is called a pinna. And then we said this part, which is a tube, we say it is auditory canal. We call it Q. Then this part E, yes, we call it the tympanic membrane or tympanum. And then these bones, we call them toscos. However, we say that each bone has a name, and then we abbreviate it as MIS, which is Marius, Incas, and Stepis. Some books, they will talk about hammer, anvil, and stirrup, but we prefer calling it Marius, Incas, and Stepis. So we abbreviate it as MIS. Then we say that it has the first window, this window, it is in oval shape, so we call it oval window. And then we have another one in a circular form, so we call it round window. So D means that it's a round window. Then we see that it has this coiled part, yeah, which we call C, cochlea. It's called a cochlea. And then we have the structure which takes impulse to the brain. And since this is a sensation, hearing, so it goes to cerebrum. So structure B is called auditory canal. We know, or we say that the ear is the center, that's where balance takes place. So we say that this semicircular canal is called, that structure is called the semicircular canal. It's responsible for balance. It also has nerves which transmit the impulse to the part of the brain. Unfortunately, balance is not a sensation. So the nerves which take the impulse to the brain, yes, they don't go to cerebrum, which is for sensation. It goes to cerebellum. Why? Because balance is not a sensation. Balance is being controlled by cerebellum. Think we are clear there. So as we continue with our small discussion of, yes, we have also another tube, this tube which goes down. We say that this tube connects to the mouth. Yes, when you yawn, like that, you feel like the air is coming from the ears. Ne? Yes, it's coming from the ears. Since it's coming from the ears, then sorry, from the mouth connect to the ears. So it means that there is a tube which connects the mouth to the ears, and that tube we said is called eustachian tube. Yeah. When we go back to our distinction material book of what we said this. We said that this is the pinna, that's what we said. We say this is this tube is called the auditory canal. Why auditory canal? Whenever you talk about auditory, we say it must be related to hearing. We say that this is a tympanic membrane or tympanum. The bones, the three bones, we call them oscus, but he has the Marius, the Incus, and the Stapes. And then we have the oval window. You see that the shape of the shape of the ear is oval. This part is oval, so we call it oval window, while this one is round, so we call it round window. Then we have a tube which connects to the mouth. This is what we say it is called eustachian tube. And then we have this which controls balance, so we call it the semicircular canals. It has some sensory cells. We're gonna see it. We say that it has the cristae and the maculae. Then we say that it has the coiled part of the ear in the inner ear, so we call it the cochlea. The cochlea, it has the sensory cells for hearing, which we call the organ of Corti. The organ of Corti has nerves which go to the brain. Which part of the brain? We say the cerebrum, and then that is for hearing. So it means that we call them auditory nerves. But you also have the nerves which come from this, the semicircular canals. So we also call them, how do you call them? We call them auditory nerves. But where do they go? Do they go to cerebrum? No, it goes to cerebellum. Why? Because balance is controlled by cerebellum. So that's what we said about the ear in the previous what? In the previous what? In the previous discussion. We are doing this so that we just give a chance for those people who were not here in the previous discussion, né? In the previous what? Discussion, so that you are able to link to what we are discussing today. All right. Just a little bit of moment. Yes. Okay. All right. We continue. We say that the process of hearing, yes, the process of hearing is controlled by the part and the function of hearing, by the part and the function of the ear. So if you know the function of the pinna, we say that it collects. That's why your ear is having different shapes. So we say that it collects and it directs sound waves to the auditory canal. So we say this is auditory canal, this tube, auditory canals. This one transmits the wave to the tympanum. You see? Then the tympanum, the function of the tympanum, that membrane, please don't call it eardrum, call it tympanum. We say that the function of the tympanum is to vibrate, to change this wave into a vibration, and transmits this wave, this vibration to the middle ear. That is the oscus. That's what you are saying here. The function of the oscus, it has two functions. The first function, this is what we said. We are just doing a record. Transmits the vibration to oval window. That's the first step. Number two, it also amplifies the vibration. That's what we said. Then we say that the oval window creates a pressure wave in this inner ear, this cochlea. You understand? It creates a pressure wave. We see, transmits the sound wave to the inner ear. How does it transmit it? By creating this pressure wave in the inner ear. Then we say that now this coiled part, we call it the cochlea. We say the cochlea contains the organ of Corti. It is the sensory cells for the hearing. So it converts this wave into an impulse, a nerve impulse. And then the auditory nerves will transmit this impulse to, since it is hearing, we say to cerebrum. To cerebrum. We said here the brain because we have combined the semicircular canals, and also we have combined with the cochlea. So it goes to which part? Which part? To cerebrum. That is hearing. But the one which come from the semicircular canals, because this is balance, it goes to cerebellum. Remember that from the part of the brain which part of the brain connects, responsible for balance. So we talked about that. Don't we say that? That is hearing. So when you're explaining the process of hearing, basically you explain it by talking about we say that the inner collects sound and directs it to auditory canal. The auditory canal, so you see that I'm talking about the pattern function. The auditory canal transmits the wave to tympanic membrane. You see, the membrane or the tympanum transmits the vibration or converts the wave into vibration and then transmits this vibration to oscos. You see, the oscos, first of all, they will amplify the vibration. They amplify the vibration. Number two, transmits the vibration to over window. The over window will create a pressure wave in the inner ear, that is in the cochlea. You see, then the cochlea has the organ of corti, which is going to be stimulated, and then it will change the stimulus into a nerve impulse, and the impulse will be sent to cerebrum for interpretation via the auditory nerves. You understand? So that is the process of hearing. That's what we said. So you need to know the function and the part and the function. Part and the function. After that, you tell us a story. And the moment the story is complete, then the hearing process will be covered. Think I'm clear there. Those people who are not here and those people who were here, but they did not manage to get it. So I'm rushing so that I'm trying to cover up what we covered in the previous class. So there are some parts which I've not talked about. Number one, we have the round window. Number two, we have the eustachian tube. The round window, the function of the round window, we say that it absorbs the excess pressure from the inner ear. You see that, for example, if you have a drum, you have the top part, and then you have the lower part or the bottom part. So when you hit here, some pressure is being absorbed here. So when the pressure is created in the inner ear, the excess is being absorbed by the round window. The excess is being absorbed by the round window. That's why here you have the round window here. It absorbs. You see that this arrow comes, the excess pressure will be absorbed by the round window. It will move in and out so that now it is absorbed. Sometimes we say that it releases the excess pressure from the inner ear. That's why here you see that it releases pressure from the inner ear. So it's the same thing as saying that it absorbs the excess pressure from the inner ear. So that one is done. Then the last part which I didn't talk about is the eustachian tube. Eustachian tube. I don't know how do you pronounce it. I pronounce it as eustachian tube. All right. If you pronounce it as eustachian tube, whatever, as long as the spelling is correct and you understand the concept. So, eustachian tube equalizes pressure on the either side of the tympanic membrane. Here, the function of this tube, when you on, for example, people have ever gone to underground trains, when you going underground and then you find that sometimes you can feel some pain in the ears. So what you do, you just yawn so that the air can come in here and then it balances with the air which is coming from this side. And the moment the air is balanced, now you'll be able to hear properly. So the function of the eustachian tube is to equalize the pressure from the mouth, the pressure from the ear, so that now the person can hear properly. So that's why I'm saying that equalizes pressure on the either side of the tympanum or the tympanic membrane. The last part which I've not talked about, we talked about that time, is this structure which we call the semicircular canals. The function of the semicircular canals, it is responsible for balancing of our body. So when your body is balanced, it is not balanced through the legs. No, it starts from the ear. So please don't slap someone on the ear. Why? Because there are high chances that the person will lose the balance. However much is nice to do that, please don't do that. Yes. And number two, you see that when a thief comes to, or someone who's want to rob you, they slap the what? They don't slap the bums. They don't slap the hands. They don't slap the legs. They don't slap the what? They slap the ear because they know that balance is being controlled by the ear. Have you ever thought of it? Why, when they are being, when you are slapped, how comes that your slap is gonna, when they slap the ear, you lose the balance. But if they slap the bums, you don't lose the balance. So if you didn't know about it, it is because balance starts from the ear. So we're going to look at the structure of, we're going to look at the process of balance. We see that these semicircular canals also has some sensory cells, which you call the cristae and the maculae. All right, I think we are done with that. So that's what we talked about last time. Then the process of balance, what we said on the process of balance, you need to know the stimulus, you need to know the receptor, you need to know the location of those receptors. So now we know that the receptors is the cristae and the maculae. The cristae and the maculae. Cristae and the maculae. Cristae and maculae. Cristae and maculae. Please make sure that you repeat that. You repeat that. Don't make a mistake to go to the paper without knowing. Whether you're writing June as your final exam or you are writing June as your June exam, you're going to write final exam as November. Please don't make a mistake to go to the paper without knowing that. All right, let's continue. Saying that stimulus change in the speed. We have the speed and direction. That is one stimulus. Then the position of the head is another stimulus. So when you change the speed and direction, it will stimulate the cristae, which are found in the ampulla of the semicircular canal. Then when you change the position of the head, if you nod your head, yes, you are changing the position of the head, it will stimulate the maculae, which is found in the sulcus and the utriculus. Sulcus and utriculus. Sulcus utriculus. Sulcus utriculus. Sulcus utriculus. You must repeat it. You must love it. If you don't love it, it won't love you. You understand? And then you won't remember it. So you must love it. You must love it. All right. We are saying that what we say that, let me repeat it again so that you are able to understand it better and better and better. We say that when you change the speed and direction of the head, when you shake it, it will stimulate the cristae. Where is the cristae found? In the ampulla of the semicircular canal, comma. When you change the position of the head, it will stimulate the maculae, found where? In the sulcus and the utriculus, comma. The stimuli, if it is one, is called the stimulus. If there are many, we call them stimuli. The stimuli is converted into a nerve impulse. Add the word nerve, nerve impulse, which is sent along the auditory nerve to cerebellum. Remember, this is balance, not cerebrum, it's not hearing. Cerebellum for interpretation. When you interpret, you restore. Think I'm clear there. Yes, if you have any question, you can do what? You can raise up the hand, then I'll be able to see your hand, then I'll be able to answer your question. Yes. Hey. All right. Just a moment. All right. We're saying that. So that is balance. So guys, you need to know that. You need to know that. I'm going to repeat it for the last time. I'm going to repeat it for the last time. I say that. I say that. I say that. Use this Saidi's mode of balance. We call it Saidi's mode of balance. M.Saidi's mode of balance. Yes. Change in the speed and direction of the head will stimulate the cristae. Where is it found? In the ampulla of the semicircular canal, comma. Change in the position of the head will stimulate the maculae found in the sulcus and the utriculus. Yes, comma. the stimuli is converted into a nerve impulse, which is sent along the auditory nerve, yes, to cerebellum for interpretation to restore balance. And I say that sometimes they bring only speed and direction. So it means that you explain this. And sometimes they only bring the position of the head. So you explain this. You see, meaning that this part is always is you supposed to write it. Don't mess up. If you don't know, explain both. Yes, explain both. I think I'm clear in there. So we talked about the defects, the hearing defects. We said that hearing defect, one is the middle ear infection, and then we said that this one is caused as a result of infection of a bacteria, which called a pathogen. Pathogen, we say that is a disease-causing organism. An example is a bacteria. So if you have a pathogen, yes, it accumulates here. It accumulates here. You understand? And then it starts to cause a pus. As that yellowish fluid which comes out, which is smelling badly. Nkosi, Nkosi,
Yes.
how can I help you?
I'll be writing
we
in
are on
June,
the
so I'll be writing in June, so I want to study these subjects. Life science.
We are in the class, ne? So if you have any question which is not related to the question we are discussing, I'll address it afterwards. So just to join the class and
I'm
then.
going. All right, sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Then we are saying that we are saying that how do we treat it? We say that we treat, because it's caused by a bacteria, so we apply what we call the antibiotics. So, and then number two, we apply, or what we cut this tympanic membrane. We cut it, not just cutting by knife, no. Yeah, there is a specialist who does that. And then we insert this structure. That structure is called a grommet. Ne? It's called what? A grommet. So we put this structure so that one part goes in, one part goes out. So we put it in so that it can drain this pus. Don't know how do you read it, but it starts with a U, TU. Yes. So that pus. So that pus will go. You understand? Once it has drained it, and now the hair has healed, then this grommet will drop off, and then the person will be able to hear properly. The last part we say that is deafness. Deafness can be caused by excess wax in the ear. Some people are deaf. Yes, some people are deaf, but they don't know that they are deaf, meaning that they are partially deaf. Others are totally deaf. So if someone is talking and then you keep saying as if you are a motorbike, meaning that it means that you are partially deaf. An example is our gogos, gurus. Those people, when you talk, they might not hear. You have to make your voice loud enough so that they're able to hear. So they are partially deaf. What is the cause of the deafness? It might be different ways in which it could be too much wax, it could be hardening of the tissue, it could be maybe damage of the brain part, which is concerning about the hearing. It could be, there is a lot. It could be the sensory cells are hardened. It's a lot. You understand? So, but what we cover up here is, can it be an injury referring to the ear or the nerve pads or the brain responsible for hearing? Hardening of the tissue, for example, it could be the tympanic membrane is no longer moving. So that's what we say. They harden, like the oscars also, they could harden so that they can't move anymore, or they move in a small space, meaning that they can't shake to create enough wave. You understand? That can also lead to deafness. So how do we care about it? We have to use what called a hearing aid, just to facilitate the hearing. You might be able to hear, but you don't hear properly. So you use what called a hearing aid. If the cochlea, that coiled part is one which is messed up, then it means that you have to apply what you call the cochlear implant. The cochlear implant, we have to drill. We have to drill you, and then until we reach the cochlea. We saw the cochlea where it is located. So guys, that's what we discussed last time. That's what we discussed last time. Those people who were not here last time, that's what we discussed. Let's do 1 or 2 questions, and then after that we go to human endocrine system. All right, let's go. We are saying that, we say that. Now what is A? We said it A is the A is the first cause. Let me check and see if people can give me answers. You know, I like it when you give me answers. Yeah, guys, you're gonna have to unmute and then you give me answers. You give me answers. Yes, unmute and give me answers. Yes, if you know the answer, you talk. If you don't know the answer, it's fine. You can relax a bit. If you are doubt of your answer, yes, give me that answer. I love that answer. If you are doubting your answer, you give it to me so that we are able to modify it. What is A?
Ossicles.
Ossicles, correct. What is E?
Tympanic membrane.
Tympanic membrane. What is B?
Round window.
Round,
Round
window.
window, correct. What is C?
Cord.
Cochlea.
Cochlea. What is B?
Auditory nerve.
Auditory nerve.
Auditory nerves. Let's go to another. Not let's see if you can answer this one just by. Okay, some people. Okay, just a moment. Want to join? Okay, I didn't see them. Okay. What is A?
Round window.
Round window.
What is B?
Semicircular.
Semicircular canals. These are the semicircular canals. You see, they are shaped in different planes so that they're able to detect any direction. They can ask you that question, that how is the semicircular canals, these canals, adapted to their function? They are in different planes, you see. Yeah, the reason why is so that they're able to detect any plane, any direction. Yes, any direction of the head, or the body. What is C?
Auditory nerve.
Auditory nerve.
What is D?
Cochlea.
Yeah.
Cochlea. What is this?
Oval window.
Oval window. I think okay, now let's try to see let's try to see what are they asking here. So identify part A. So automatically we have answered it. We said is round window. Part D we said is cochlea. They can even ask you the receptor. Okay, they have asked it. Name the receptors found in B. Receptors found in B. So you see that they're saying receptors. Since it is a receptor, it is found in the semicircular canals. Who can tell me the receptors? Yes, Maya. Sorry. Which receptors are found in this structure? We say these semicircular canals. How do you call those receptors? There are 2 of them.
Cristae and maculae.
Excellent. Yes, cristae and maculae. Yes. Then we have the second question. They're saying that explain the consequences to human body if part C is damaged. Let's go back and find out what is part C. What will happen if your auditory nerves are no longer working? They are damaged. Who can tell me the answer? Someone saying that.
Can I try?
Yes, you
Like-
can try. Send you.
Is the impulse won't be transmitted to the cerebrum and the individual won't be able to respond to the stimulus?
The impulse will not be sent to cerebrum, meaning that the person will not be able to respond to stimulus. Okay, yeah, correct. The stimulus, the nerve impulse, ne, will not be sent to cerebrum. Yeah, because this is the cochlea, meaning that it's going to cerebrum. So it's hearing. So the person will not be able to respond to the stimulus. Thank you. They're saying that what will happen if part A is damaged? What will happen if part A is damaged? Oh, has become hardened. Meaning that we say that part A is the round window. So what will happen? Kanyi? Kanyi? Kanyi, are you there?
Yes, I
Yes.
can.
Do you want
It's
to try?
I don't think it's correct, but then I
Don't worry
think
about it. Mm.
if it becomes hardened, then it won't be able to like balance the air that's coming from the body and yeah.
Okay, now let's do like this. Remember, we say that the function of round window is to absorb the excess pressure from the inner ear. You understand? The function of round window is to absorb excess pressure from the inner ear or to release excess pressure from the inner ear. Wabona? Now, you are saying that the question is saying that what will happen if now the round window is hardened? Can you modify your answer using the first answer I gave?
It won't be able to absorb the pressure waves from the inner ear.
Yes, it will not be able to absorb the excess pressure from the inner ear. You understand? Or it can be, depending on the degree of hardness, it will not, it will absorb less pressure from the inner ear. You understand? It might absorb, but not that much, or it might fail to absorb completely. You understand? Because it can be hardened, but not that much stiff, or it can be hardened that much. You understand? In such a way that it cannot move at any one moment. All right. I think we have done our can we go to this one? Let's just talk about this one. And then, because this is just a recall of what we discussed. Which part of the brain will receive the impulse from C? Yes, who knows the answer?
Cerebellum.
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 Cerebellum. Part C. Remember, part C is cochlea. Cochlea is linked to hearing. Hearing is a sensation. Which part of the brain is responsible for sensation?
Cerebrum.
Cerebrum. Now, which part of, now let's go back to our question. Which part of the brain will receive impulse from part C?
Cerebrum.
Cerebrum. Thank you so much for modifying your answers. All right. They're saying that describe the role of the semicircular canals in maintaining balance. You see, this question is just an open question. So it means that you're going to have to use this mode of balance and then you explain. So you go back and then you tell us changing the speed and direction of the head will stimulate the crystal found in the ampulla of the semicircular canal. Change in the position of the head will stimulate the maculae found in the circulus and utriculus of semicircular canal. The stimuli is converted into a nerve impulse, which is sent along the auditory nerve to cerebellum for interpretation to restore balance. That's what they want. It's just what we have just discussed. The question is just open. They have not limited you to either position of the head or to the speed and direction of the head. They just brought us an open question. So please, if they bring such question, That 5 marks must be obtained. Describe how the increase in the production of the mucus. Sometimes that mucus is called in the nose, in the nose and the throat may lead to the bursting of part E. Do you know that? Why is it that if someone is suffering from flu, will have problems with hearing? Have you ever thought of it? It's because of the eustachian tube. The eustachian tube might be blocked. You understand? So the increase in the mucus in the nose and the throat might block the entry, or they might block the eustachian tube, and then it means that the pressure on the either side of the tympanic membrane will not be equalized, and we might lead to the bursting of part E. Let's confirm to see that if part...
Sir, can you please repeat that?
Okay.
A
When you
bit
have...
slower, because you're so fast.
I'm so fast.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so fast because I was just doing a recall. I need to go to the today's topic. All right, I'm saying, when you have flu, for example, you feel like your hearing is also a problem. Why? Remember, we have this tube called the eustachian tube, that tube. And the function of that tube is to equalize pressure, which is coming from this side and coming from this side, so that there is balance between this tympanic membrane. You understand? So when now this is blocked because of the what? They said it, because of the mucus and the mucus because of the mucus, either in the nose or the throat, it might lead to the blocking of this eustachian tube. If the eustachian tube is blocked, it means that now the air which is supposed to enter from the mouth will not cross here, meaning that now here it will be heavy, it will have no air to balance the one which is coming from this side. And then because now the air from this side is greater than the air this side, then automatically it might cause this tympanic membrane to burst. You understand? So that's why I'm saying that if there is too much production of mucus in the nose and the throat, it might lead to the blocking of the eustachian tube. Then the air saturation will be blocked. There will be not enough air to saturate into this middle ear. You understand? And then now it will lead to a greater pressure from one side, leading to the bursting of the what? Bursting of the tympanic membrane, or the tympanic, or structure E. Do you understand what I was saying? Have you got it?
Yes, I got it, sir. Thank you.
Sure. They're saying that explain why the fusion of structure A. Now we need to find out what is structure A might lead or may lead to the hearing loss. We come back. What is structure A? This is the... Now, if they ask you such question, you go back and ask yourself, what is the function of structure A? Structure A is responsible for amplification of the vibration, amplification of the sound. And number 2, to transmit the vibration from the tympanic membrane to over window. Now, what happens? It has fused. It has fused, meaning that it cannot shake. It cannot shake. It means that it is stiff. If it is stiff, it means that the vibration might not be transmitted. Or, depending on which stiffness, the vibration might be transmitted less, meaning that there will be less amplification of the sound vibration. Remember, the function of the oscilloscope is to amplify the vibration. Now it is stiff, it cannot move. It means that there will be less amplification of this vibration. That's part number 1. Number 2, the vibration might not be transmitted from the tympanic membrane to over window, or less vibration might be transmitted from the tympanic membrane to over window. And if less is being transmitted, it means that you're going to have hearing loss. You'll be hearing, but not that much. Or you might completely lose it. If it is too much stiff, it cannot move anymore. So that's why you are saying that when they fuse, it might lead to hearing loss. Why? Because the sound will not be amplified enough. Number two, also the sound vibration will not be transmitted from the tympanic membrane to window. Yes. Guys, welcome to the next topic of today. That is human endocrine system. I'm going to give you 1 minute just for you to take a drink and you come back to class. If you don't have a drink, you can stay there just 1 minute, exactly 1 minute. Yeah, now we are back, man. We are back, we are back, we are back. If you are not here or you are a little bit far, please come back and then we continue with our class. All right. Uh-huh. All right. We are saying that endocrine system. What does the word endocrine mean? The word endocrine comes from, just a moment. Um, Okay. The word endocrine comes from the word endo, which means inside. Crine comes from the word crinis, which means secretion. So it means that this system, remember, system is the collection of organs. Yes, they must work together, they must interact so that it, to bring about that system. So it means that this system is dealing with the secretion of substance, and these substances are within the body. So the endocrine system, these are some of the glands which are involved in the endocrine system. This endocrine system is divided into two. The first one, let me explain it. Just a moment. Yes, let me explain it. The endocrine system is divided into two. Into two glands. We have what called the endocrine glands, and then the exocrine glands. So the endocrine glands, yes, sometimes we call them ductless glands. Why do we call them ductless glands? A duct is a tube, meaning that they are tubeless. These are glands which have no tubes, so we call them endocrine glands, ductless glands. Then we have the exocrine glands. These ones, they have ducts. They have the tubes. What do they use the tube for? And why do these ones don't have the ducts? Why don't they have the tubes? It means that these ones, whatever they secrete, whatever they produce, whatever they secrete is being transported by blood. So it uses the blood stream to transport whatever it has produced to a target, the target organ. While these ones, they have the tubes, they use their tubes to release where they want them to be released. Meaning that no blood involved. So examples here, you can talk about the hypophysis, the pituitary gland, hypophysis, hypothalamus, thalamus. You can talk about ovaries, You can talk about the testes. Let me make them plural. Testes, yes. While here, the exocrine glands, in most cases, the exocrine glands, they produce what you call enzymes. So it's more of the digestion and mucus. They usually produce what you call enzymes and mucus. An example is the salivary gland. The second one is, you can talk about the pancreas. By the way, even here, the pancreas is an example.
Sir,
Yes.
how are you able to tell apart the organs that are endocrine gland and exocrine gland?
Don't worry, I'm going to show you. I'm just doing a simple, then after that we go back to, and then I show you.
Okay.
Yes. So these glands, basically, let me just link to that. The organs which are linked to the digestive system, in most cases, they are exocrine glands. While the organs which produce hormones, they are endocrine glands. So let me show you how the exocrine look like. The exocrine gland, it has a tube. It has this duct, which is called a duct. While the endocrine gland, they are ductless. They don't have the neck. Meaning that when they release their substances, they're going to go to the blood stream. While this one, the saliva is being produced being released where it is needed. For example, your saliva will go direct to the mouth. There is no blood which you're going to bring that saliva. So because of the ducts, the salivary gland will produce the saliva and then now it's going to come through these ducts. So we call them duct glands. Let's go back to our distinction material book. We're saying that endocrine system is a collection of glands that produce hormones that regulates the metabolism, growth, development, tissue, sexual functions, reproduction, sleep, all this. Guys, you don't just do things because you want to do them. There is a system which is involved to help you do this. It's just by a mistake that you are not falling asleep or you are sleeping too much, you are moody. It's not just by mistake, only because you are. No, there are some hormones which are responsible for that. By a mistake that you like too much boys, you like too much girls, too many girls, you love them too much. Huh? There are hormones which are responsible for that. There are hormones which are responsible for that. It's not by mistake that when you are too active, there are hormones which are responsible for that. It's not by mistake that you are tall or short or medium. There are hormones which are responsible for that. So someone is going to ask me, what about the genetics? Yes, the genetics work together with the hormones. All right. Endocrine glands. So this system is divided into two. We say that endocrine glands. We call them ductless glands. You see them. Once they produce their things, it goes direct into the blood stream. And then the blood will take those hormones where they are needed. For example, the brain will produce a FSH. You know, all of us, we know FSH, follicle-stimulating hormone, or luteinizing hormone from our reproduction. But where do they work? They work in the ovary. You see? Meaning that how far is from the brain, the hypophysis or the pituitary gland to the ovaries? The distance is big. So how are these hormones being transmitted? They are being transported or transmitted through the blood. So the glands which produce that, because they don't have a duct, we call them endocrine glands. Yes. So basically those glands are dealing with hormones. So they release the things directly into the bloodstream. We have the exocrine gland. We say that they release these chemicals, substances through the ducts to outside the body, or that is, if it is outside body, we can talk about the sweat. Sweat is released out. Where does it come from? You don't know, but we will see the structure of the skin and we see where the sweat is coming from. And then, or into another surface within the body, meaning that they're gonna use this duct to reach where they want to. So hormones are organic compounds. They can ask you this question. Organic compounds, protein in nature, and they are messenger. They have to convey the message the body wants. And these hormones are not needed in large amounts. They are needed in small amounts. Because if there is too much of them, it's going to be another problem. So how do these hormones work? The cell will secrete the hormone. If this is the endocrine, remember, because we say that endocrines are being dealt with the hormones are being dealt with the endocrine glands. So it will secrete the hormone. That chemical is just a chemical, guys. Just a chemical. It is going to be released in the bloodstream. The blood will move. As it's moving, it will be moving with these chemicals, which call the hormones. And then the moment they find a target organ, it must bind. However much you have 1,000 keys, there will be only one key which will open the door. So however much you have a lot of hormones, and these hormones, there is a lot of cells, they will only bind themselves if it fits to bind there. You see? So we call them target organs. So you see that the blood is helping this hormone to be transported from one point to another. Yes. Then we go to the next one. We are saying that now let's look at this structure. Now this one is going to come. This one comes, ne? This one comes. How do they bring it? Begala. You see? So it means that you have to know the location. The first point which you need to know is to know the location of these glands. We know about the hypothalamus from our brain, structure of the brain. Okay, that is the first point. We have ever heard about the hypophysis or the pituitary gland. We know it, even we know it from the brain. So we know the position of the hypothalamus. We know the position of the pituitary gland. You have to know, now we have the one which is found in the neck. This is the first one. It's a new one to be introduced. Yes. So this one is called the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, meaning that this is the first new gland we need to know. We have never heard about it. The second gland, we know about the pancreas. We know about the pancreas. So you cannot say that you have never heard about the pancreas. Yes. So the pancreas, we studied it in grade 11. So that is the pancreas. It looks like a banana or a leaf, whatever you want to say. So we have another one which we call the adrenal gland. We talked about you in emergency situation, you produce a hormone called adrenaline. Yes, you produce a hormone called adrenaline. It is being produced by adrenal gland. So this is the next one I think you have never heard about. So the second one, so you need to know where it is located also. Then we have another gland called the ovary. Don't tell me that you don't know it unless you're not a lady. Yes, ovary, you know it. And then we have another one called the testis. Don't tell me that you don't know it unless you're not a man. So the testis, we know. The ovaries, we know. The pancreas, we know. The hypothalamus, we know. The hypophysis, we know. The only two glands which we don't know, which we don't know now, we need to know them, is the thyroid gland in the neck, and then the adrenal gland on the top of the kidney. On the top of the kidney. Let me check. Someone has sent me a message. Tigan, why are you crying? All right. So, please, we need to know this. We need to know this. Let's go again. The first one is the hypothalamus. The second one, you check the way it is pituitary gland. The third one in the neck is the thyroid gland. The one on the top of the kidney is called the adrenal gland. The one which looks like just below the stomach is called the pancreas. And then the one which is just below, I always tell people that I always tell people that it's not personal. I always tell people that you move with the male and the female reproductive system in your face, but you don't know and you fail it. How can you fail it? The top one are the ovary, while the lower ones are the testes. It is true. Let's find out so that you don't forget this. I don't want you to forget this. Let me see your face. Let me see your face. Your face looks like this. Yeah? You say that you have the eyes. Okay, I also accept. You have the what? You have the eyes. Yes. And then you have the nose. Remember the nose has two holes, isn't it? Yes, you have the nose. Some of you have a long nose, ne? You have a long nose. You have a long nose, ne? Hey, you have a long nose. And then remember, this is your face. Don't you think this is ovary? And then these are testes? And then this is, I don't know. Yeah, that's you, man. That's you. So you know that things are like that. So when you look at someone's face, oh, you remember the eyes are ovary, the lower ones are what? A testis. If you check the nose is too long, you think about it. If you check the nose is too short, you think about it. I'm not saying it. I didn't say anything, guys. So we said the top one is ovary. The lower ones are testis. So please don't mess them up. Guys, unmute and you tell me. Everyone must unmute and then you tell me.
Number 1 is the pituitary gland. Number
Pituitary
2,
gland. Number 2,
2 is the thyroid gland.
thyroid gland. Number
3
3,
is the pancreas, and number 4 is the adrenal gland.
adrenal gland. You people. And then this one,
Which one? That's the
This one?
hypothalamus.
hypothalamus. All right. Okay, guys, I think now, you see now? Now, the second step, after knowing where are they located, now we know. Let me clear it up. We know the locations. Now we need to know the function of each hormone. We need to know the function of each hormone. This one is called, please don't call it, ne? I'm just calling it. It's called a master gland. Don't call it, ne? Why? Because it produces a number of hormones, ne? Which controls. So we call it the master gland. The master gland. Just guys, just 1 second. That is the pituitary gland. Okay. Okay, guys, sorry for the that. Okay, number 2. So we need to know that the pituitary gland produce the pituitary gland produces GH, which called the growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. You need to know the hormones produced by that gland. You need to know what is the function of each hormone. You need to know the hormone produced by that gland. You need to know the function of each hormone. This one, hypothalamus produces ADH, antidiuretic hormone. The thyroid gland produces thyroxine. The adrenal gland produces adrenaline and aldosterone. Aldosterone. Then the pancreas produces glucagon and insulin. Glucagon and insulin. Then the ovary produces estrogen and progesterone. These ones we know. The testes produce testosterone. So now let me talk about the function of each. Let me start with the testes because everyone knows the testes. We know the functions. Testes, they produce testosterone. What is the function of the testosterone? We said that testosterone is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics. The characteristics which show that you are a man. Yes. I heard that there are some people who inject themselves so that they become Superman, themselves with testosterone so that they become Superman. I don't know. Yeah, but if you inject yourself with the testosterone, you're going to have characteristics of a man. And if you're a man and you're injecting yourself with the testosterone, it means that you're going to have more characteristics of a man. So it's responsible for secondary sexual characteristics in male. Number two, it's also responsible for stimulation of the what? Of the maturation of the sperms. Yes, the sperms are connected to testosterone. Then we have the estrogen. We have the estrogen. Estrogen is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics in females, big boobs, big shape, big what, soft voice, all that is secondary sexual characteristics. Characteristics which show that don't tamper with sex. If you tamper with it, what happens? What happens? You're gonna become pregnant. Good. Yes. Please, those are the secondary sexual characteristics. Remember, another function of estrogen from reproduction, we say that it is responsible for preparing the uterus for implantation by making it thick, vesicular, and glandular. By making it thick, vesicular, and glandular. That is estrogen. Then progesterone, it maintains pregnancy by making the endometrium more, that word must be there, more thicker, more vesicular, and more glandular. So it promotes it, the thickening, meaning that it increases the what? The thickening. So we have talked about this. We have talked about this. So we have talked about this. You understand? And then we have talked about the puberty. Then we go to the next hormone. I will talk about this one more when we go to the negative feedback mechanism, but pancreas produces glucagon. Glucagon, if you don't have energy, let me start with insulin. When you eat too much, if you make a lot of money, you put some money in the bank. So when you put it in the bank, it is stored. It is in storage form. When you don't have money, cash, what do? You go to the bank, you get the money. So that's the function of glucagon and insulin. When you eat, you get a lot of glucose. That glucose is not going to be used, all of it. Some is converted into glycogen and stored. You understand? So insulin is the one which facilitates that. When you don't have energy, yes, you have not eaten. So what the body does, the glucagon will convert the glycogen back to glucose, and then you have energy again. So we're going to look at it as the negative feedback mechanism. Then you have adrenaline. This one is for emergence. Emergence. You have to be, you talk about when you see something scaring you, you have to prepare yourself for emergency. Your eyes, they dilate, the blood is pumped to the organs like the heart, the muscles, the skin will be drained, no blood because we don't need it, you sweat too much. So all that is as a result of the heartbeat increases, you deep breathe, you breathe deeply. So you see that all that is adrenaline. So that's the function of, you see, heartbeat, blood pressure increases. You see, glycogen is converted to glucose so that now you have more glucose to fight. The skeletal muscles tone, they become stiff. You are ready to fight. Yes, so that is as a result of what? Adrenaline. And then aldosterone is for salt. Aldosterone is for salt. So if it is for salt, aldosterone is responsible for salt. So if it is for salt, some people, they eat too much salt. It's supposed to be excreted out, man. If you eat too much, why? Watch out. So that is, we're going to look at it as a negative feedback mechanism, also this one. So the first one, you're going to look at this one. The second one, you're going to look at that one. Then the thyroxine, the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is responsible for production of thyroxine. Thyroxine is basically responsible for normal functioning of the heart, the metabolic rate. Yes, the normal functioning of what? Of the heart. Basically, it brings about absorption of oxygen in the cells. So it brings about the normal functioning of the metabolic reactions. So we call it what? We call it aldosterone. Sorry, we call it thyroxine. So that's what we are saying here, that it controls the basic metabolic rate, the basic metabolic rate. So if you are weak, you are not active, it could be because of the thyroxine. Oxygen is not being absorbed from the body. Now, who is that talking with us?
Okay.
Fine, I've done the mute. All right. So we go to the next one. Let me start with the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is responsible for production of ADH. ADH. ADH is antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is responsible for maintaining the amount of water in the blood. Yes. How much water? If you are dehydrated, is because of ADH. If you are not dehydrated, is also because of ADH. So we're going to look at it as the negative feedback mechanism of ADH. Yes, that's the negative feedback mechanism of water in the blood. Lastly, is the thyroid gland. Growth hormone is obvious. It's responsible for growth. Thyroid stimulating hormone is also obvious. Stimulates the thyroid gland. You see, thyroid stimulating hormone, a hormone which stimulates the thyroid gland. Produce what? To produce thyroxine. You see, it's obvious also. FSH is also obvious. Hormone that stimulates the Graafian follicle, produce the ovum. It's also simple.
Sir,
Yes.
what is oxytocin?
Where is what?
Oxytocin.
We don't talk about it here.
Okay.
Yes. And then now you have luteinizing hormone. We also know that it triggers ovulation and also stimulates the conversion of the empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. So all these hormones, you know them. These hormones, you know them. These hormones, you know them. So you need to know this diagram. You need to have it by heart. This diagram, you need to know it so that you are able to, you see this? This is a summary of everything I've talked about. Controls the amount of water in the body. You see, amount of water in the body is for emergence. We talked about it. This regulates the amount of salt. We talked about it. So if you want to remember, okay, I'll show you how you can remember. Aldo, which means it comes from the word salt. Okay, I'll show you how you can remember them afterwards. Then estrogen, we know it, that is thickening of the endometrium. And then we know progesterone, that is to make the endometrium more thicker. That's why we say promotes thickening, more thicker. Yes, testosterone, secondary sexual characteristics, and also stimulates the maturation of the sperms. Then the pancreas, we say it's glucagon, and the insulin. This one is linked to blood sugar. If you are suffering from diabetes, it's because of this. Then thyroxine, we say that it controls the metabolic rate. If you are more active and stuff like that, it's because of the thyroid gland. We're gonna see that if you don't, this is it brings about there is a situation when the thyroid gland enlarges because you don't have enough iodine in the body. So it will lead to a condition called goiter. Yes, I don't know how we pronounce it, goiter or goiter, I don't know. Yes, but we pronounce it as goiter. Okay, they're saying that then the hypophysis or pituitary gland Pituitary gland is growth hormone. We know that controls growth. Thyroid stimulating hormone, the same story. This hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. Follicle stimulating hormone, the same story. Hormone that stimulates the Graafian follicle to develop. And then luteinizing hormone triggers ovulation and also stimulates the development of corpus luteum. Prolactin, prolactin. I didn't talk about prolactin. Oh, see, I didn't talk about it. I don't know. Prolactin is for milk. Prolactin. When you say lactose, sugar in the milk, lactogen. You see, lactogen. You have ever bought this thing from ShopRite? Lactogen, that milk, isn't it? So whenever you say lactin is milk, we are talking about milk. So prolactin is a hormone which stimulates the mammary gland to produce milk. So, guys, you have to know that. All right. So now it means that we can be able to answer this. We can be able, we say that what is A? What is A, guys? Unmute and tell me the answers.
The pituitary gland.
Pituitary gland. What is B?
Thyroid gland.
Thyroid gland.
What is C?
Adrenal
Adrenal
gland.
and
Adrenal gland. Great. What is D?
Pancreas.
pancreas.
Pancreas. Excellent. So here there are some questions. Explain. Okay. Let's do some questions here maybe. What are they saying now? Study the diagram below and answer the question that follows. A hormone secreted by one of the glands that labeled A to ED has the following effect. Heartbeat increase, vasoconstriction, meaning that the blood vessel in the skin and the gut is reduced, and then dilates the pupil. So give the letter and the name of the gland that secretes this hormone. Yes. Tanaki. Yes, Tanaki. Yes, I see your hand up. Sikonye. Tanaka. Yes, talk. We're not Tanaka. You're just raising the hand and you are not talking. So, guys, what's the answer?
Let's see. The adrenal gland.
Yes, adrenal gland. Remember that this hormone is adrenaline. It's the one which causes this. Ne? So it means that it's D. It's D. You didn't say D. It's C.
No, I said C.
Oh, yeah, C, adrenal gland. Thank you so much. Then they're saying that when Tanaka, you're just raising up the hand when they have not even asked the question. Saying that explain the significance of each of the following. Heartbeat increases. What is the function of the heartbeat increase during the situation of emergency?
So I don't understand the question.
Explain the significance of each of the following. What is the importance? When the adrenaline has been released in the body, the heartbeat will increase. Why should the heartbeat increase? And remember, adrenaline only increases when there is an emergency. Why should you have an increased heartbeat? Who knows?
Isn't it because it prepares you?
You can talk.
I don't know. I'm just like trying.
I'm saying, isn't it like towards this to send blood for like more blood to the important organs, so the muscles and the heart can be like they have increased blood flow for a fight or for you to run away.
Increase what?
Blood flow to the muscles and organs.
Yeah, blood flow to the muscles and organs. Yes. Thank you so much, Tabo. Yeah, basically it increases. Let me make it more scientific. When the heartbeat increases, the blood flow will also what? Increase to the muscles. But what is the essence of this blood to flow to the muscles and the brain and stuff? It's because the blood will contain the glucose, you see? Number two, will also contain the oxygen, you see? So since the oxygen is there, remember oxygen is responsible for respiration. So meaning that more energy is going to be produced and then you are ready to fight or to take off, flight. you run away. You can't just run away when you don't have energy. So the heart has to pump so that more oxygen is pumped into the muscles. And then remember, when the respiration is taking place, carbon dioxide accumulates. So that also now the blood can take the carbon dioxide which has accumulated in the muscles to the lungs. I hope I'm clear there. Then what is the instance of the pupil to dilate? Why? If someone tells you that someone has died, you know, what is the first impression you're going to have? Are you sure? If you will check your eyes, they open like a cat's eyes in the dark. The pupil will be very big, allowing more light to enter so that you are able to see clearly of what they are talking about. When you say lion coming, you get scared, adrenaline increases, you open your eyes to confirm. Are you sure? Is it a lion coming to me? Is it coming to me or is going somewhere else? You see the way how you are thinking, blood is pumped into the brain. You think very much. And then the eyes, you open them very well so that you are able to see clearly, to see that, oh, is coming. That's why the pupil will dilate so that more light will enter the eye and you are able to see clearly. Is it clear? Then we
Yes,
go
sir.
to the explain the relationship between the gland A and the gland A. What is gland A? Gland A, that is the explain the relationship between gland A and kidney on a hot object. Sorry, on a hot day. So gland A is what? Gland A is what? Is the pituitary
Pituitary
gland.
gland.
Yes. But now, how is the pituitary gland linked to hot day? We go back. We go back here. Remember, we said that ADH controls the concentration of water in the blood. In a hot day, you sweat too much, meaning that ADH is either going to be released or is going to be less released, more released or less released. So we're going to look at it when you go to the skin. But how is that gland A linked to that?
So it's because it controls reabsorption
Reabsorption of water.
of water in the kidneys.
But don't forget that gland A is a pituitary gland. Let's go back and confirm. How is that now? Don't forget that gland A is a pituitary gland. It's not hypothalamus.
Mama.
It's not hypothalamus. Guys, if you want to talk to your mama, make sure that you mute. So it's hypothalamus. Let me explain this. Gland A is a pituitary gland, while hypothalamus is the one which produces ADH. The pituitary gland or hypophysis stores the ADH. Do you hear me? Hypothalamus produces ADH. But when it produces it, it is being stored in the pituitary gland. So it's the pituitary gland to release this into the blood. If the blood, more water is needed or less water is needed. So we will ask you that. People always confuse it. Check here. Check here. Let me just show you this, what I'm saying. Look. Yes. You see here? Where is it? They talk about the hypothalamus. Still, they did not talk about the pituitary gland. But what happens is the hypothalamus will secrete this ADH and stores it into the pituitary gland. That's why now on this question, they have brought that to ask you whether, where am I? They have brought it here, ask you those questions. Why are they talking about gland? Still it is ADH, but it's just being stored there. But what produces that ADH? It is the hypothalamus. So you guys, you see, gland A is a pituitary gland, releases ADH. You see, when the water level is, so we're gonna look at it that into details. All right, let's look at the negative feedback mechanism. We only have 30 minutes to finish this. When we come to negative feedback mechanism, I'm going to give you different techniques how you can master this. A negative feedback mechanism is the mechanism which operates in a human body to detect the changes or the imbalances in the internal environment and restores the balance. And restores the what? Them to balance. So now if you look at this, let me give you an example. Because why do we use the word negative feedback mechanism? Let me give you an example. Negative feedback mechanism is like this. So now you are from here, from A, you are going to Johannesburg. You're going to Johannesburg, which is B. And then now you are going like this, point C. It's fine. So you are going to a direction. Okay, let me just point. You're supposed to go to point C, ne? Unfortunately, you went to point B, meaning that now you are lost. You are lost. If I continue going to this direction to point D, it means that I'll be becoming more lost. So it becomes positive feedback mechanism, meaning that you become more worse. You are sick. You become more sick, meaning that is a positive. So what do? I take medication. When I take medication, I go back to normal. So the medication will help me to go back to normal. You see that this one was going like this, but this one is in a negative direction. Therefore, it becomes a negative feedback. So if I continue going to that, it is in the same direction as the first one. So it becomes positive. You see? So we don't talk about positive feedback mechanism. We talk about negative feedback mechanism. Why? Because the negative feedback mechanism will oppose the direction. It will oppose the direction. So I said that we are only remaining with 30 minutes, meaning that by 1 o'clock, the lesson will be done. So we are saying that positive feedback mechanism, it is continuing. While the negative feedback mechanism, it is just the what? The reverse. All right. So negative feedback mechanism is the mechanism which restores what was imbalanced back to balance. The imbalances are brought back to balance. For example, it's too hot. It's too hot. You feel uncomfortable. What do? What you do, bring back your normal situation, is the negative feedback mechanism. You go swim, you wherever, you take a cold drink, you are cooling yourself back to normal. It's a negative feedback mechanism. But if now you are hot, you are feeling uncomfortable, now you go, you put on you switch on the heater. What is that? You're becoming more worse. So it becomes a positive feedback mechanism. So we only talk about the negative feedback mechanism so that we bring our situation back to normal. When you restore whatever you have restored, we want to say that you have kept the internal environment, you have kept whatever you are keeping constant. So in this topic, we shall say that you have done what called a homeostasis. If it comes, for example, the amount of sugar in the body is too much, then the hormones are supposed to work so that it brings back to normal. And then now it means that That mechanism of bringing it back to normal is a negative feedback mechanism. The situation of bringing it back to normal is homeostasis, because now you have kept the internal environment constant. Okay, so let's continue. So this is what you need to know. Let's just get an example. TSH. The first example is thyroxine. We're going to use thyroxine as the first example. This is normal. What you need to know, guys, look at this, because we're going to look at this. We're going to use the same procedure. Normal level of thyroxine in the body. I need to know which gland produces thyroxine. I need to know about that. If the first step is saying the level of thyroxine has increased, it means that it has increased more than normal. Guys, the last step must always say the level of thyroxine has decreased. If this was glucose, and then they say that the level of glucose has increased, the last statement here must be the level of glucose must decrease. So it means that now you have 3 marks. You have that mark, you have that mark, and you have that mark. So now we are looking for this mark and this mark. We need to know the gland and what is the function of that gland. We need to know the gland which controls the thyroxine levels. And what is the function of that gland? How does it control? So basically the function, the gland is the pituitary gland. Why do we say pituitary gland? So because pituitary gland will produce thyroxine. But now we have level of thyroxine increases. The level of thyroxine increases. If the level of thyroxine increases, what is going to happen? If the level of thyroxine increases, yes, if the level of thyroxine increases, it means that I will need less thyroxine. So it means that, remember, this is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid gland, let's go back here. This gland, remember the function of this gland is to produce thyroxine. Now, when I have TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, this hormone, TSH, will stimulate this thyroid gland to produce more thyroxine. Thyroid stimulating hormone. But now I want less thyroxine. What is this TSH going to do? I'm going to have to reduce the amount of TSH I produce. So that now the thyroid gland produces less thyroxine. And if less thyroxine has been produced, it means that the level of thyroxine goes back to normal. Let's go back here. So here we are saying that, if the level of thyroxine is too much in the blood, the pituitary gland will produce or release less thyroxine. So I have less thyroxine, yes. It means that now the thyroid gland will release less thyroxine because the thyroid stimulating hormone has been released less. So it means that the thyroid gland is going to be stimulated less. If the thyroid gland is stimulated less, it means that now the amount of thyroxine produced is going to be less. And then now the thyroxine level will decrease and then it goes back to normal. That is it. Hey, it's simple, but it requires some simple reasoning. But as we see different questions, we will be able to understand it better. And I'll keep emphasizing. Guys, can I tell you something? Last time I told the people that, hey guys, they're going to bring this and then people are not reading it and then they brought it. After the paper, people say, yes, you see. I'll remind you. Guys, please don't go to the paper without knowing this. Ne? Okay, we go to the next thing. Yeah. So what happens if the level of thyroxine has decreased? It's the same story. The last point must be the level of thyroxine increases. So I have this point and I have this point. If I want, because the level of thyroxine has decreased, so it means that I will need more thyroxine in the body. So the pituitary gland will secrete more thyroid stimulating hormone. Have more thyroid stimulating hormone, it means that now the thyroid gland is going to be stimulated more. Do what? To produce more thyroxine. Wabona. If more thyroxine has been produced, it means that now the thyroxine level in the blood will increase, and then it goes back to normal. So it's the same thing. All the negativity. Now, all this subtopic is all about that. The moment you know this and you know the function, the remaining things is only this. Is only this. Is only that. So if you overwork the thyroid gland, we call it hypothyroidism. If like you are overworking it, it is producing too much hormone. Yes, we call it hyperthyroidism. And then if you you are not, it is not making enough. So we call it hypo. Hypo. Hypo means low. Hyper means high. Hyperthyroidism. It's too much. Yes. And then this will lead to some of these characteristics, and then you will also suffer from goiter. And this is basically as a result of the deficiency of iodine in the body. Yeah, that's why we tell you that when you're eating the salt, eat the salt called iodized salt. Iodized salt. Yes. Hypothyroidism means that you are producing less. And then in most cases, you suffer from what called myxedema. Yes, you suffer from this. Yeah. So you see, you have ever seen people who are suffering from this? You have ever seen people who are like this? Please don't confuse this with diabetes. Ne? Yeah, because there is time when it's about diabetes. Remember, we have two types of diabetes. We only teach one. We have diabetes mellitus, that is the sugar diabetes, and diabetes insipidus, that is the water diabetes. Yes, which is linked to odema. Odema, that is the water diabetes. All right. So basically, that's what you need to know. You need to know about goiter, the goiter, the goiter. Yeah, you call it goiter. Yeah. How do you read it? You know, we read this at so ne Gauteng ne goiter. Okay. All right. So we are done with that. Homeostasis. Meaning that we're going to only talk about the same stories, keeping internal environment constant, keeping the process of maintaining a constant internal environment. Yes. Why do we keep it constant? So that there is effective functioning of the organs. If it's too much, is a problem. If it's too low, is also another problem. All right. Let's just look at glucose. It's the same story. Let's apply what we studied in the previous. Glucose level increase, the last statement, glucose level must decrease. You ask yourself, which gland is responsible? Which hormones are responsible for glucose regulation? We say it is insulin, and then glucagon, isn't it? Two hormones. So now I need to know, if I have too much glucose in the body, what is the next step? So you need to know this thing. This. If I have too much glucose in the body, yes, glucose is going to be converted into glycogen by the help of insulin. If I have less glucose in the body, so the glycogen is going to be converted back to glucose by the help of glucagon. Now I ask myself, where are these hormones produced from? We said they're produced from the pancreas. That's why I told you that diagram, you need to know each hormone, where is located, what does it produce? What's the function? Once you know that, now this topic is simple. So now we come back. The level of glucose in the body increase. So what do I need to do? I need to decrease it, the end. That's why at the end here, we say that glucose level decrease. Okay. Now, if the glucose level decrease, how am I going to decrease it? I have, which hormone should I include there? Which gland do I include? Remember, you need to know the gland and the hormone. That's it. You need to know the gland. Obviously, the gland will produce that hormone, and you need to know the function of that hormone. Then the process is done. So glucose level increase, The pancreas will secrete insulin. The insulin will stimulate the liver to convert glucose into glycogen. And then obviously, if glucose is converted into glycogen, then the glucose level will go back to normal. Simple. And then now, if the insulin glucose level is too much, I need to make, if the glucose level is too low, I need to make sure that the glucose level increases back to normal. I've not eaten. So what do? The pancreas will secrete glucagon. Now the glucagon is going to stimulate the conversion of glucose into glycogen into glucose. You see, glycogen is converted into glucose. And then now the level of glucose is going to increase and then it goes back to normal. You see, guys, that you only need to know points in actual sense. Only 2 points for each negative feedback mechanism. Only 2 points, which gland and which hormone. The rest, they will flow. This is the opposite of this. If you memorize this, is the opposite of this. Simple. But you find people are suffering with this. Yeah, I know that if it is your first time, it might be difficult, but you keep repeating. Practice different questions. Yes, this is the only topic students we don't want to hear about. And if you don't want to hear about it, do you think it wants to hear about you? What is the next step? Fail. So please, guys, yeah, I'll tell you, let me first focus on everything, but I'll tell you what to focus more on. You have to know everything. So, what happens if your pancreas cannot produce enough insulin or glucagon? You're going to suffer from what you call diabetes. Don't just say diabetes. You say diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. Mellitus. Don't say sugar diabetes. We'll give you a 0 with the eyes. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. I think I'm clear there. Ntokozo, are you in class? Ntokozo. 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 You put your phone there and then you left my class, ne? Ntokozo. Oh. Tegan. Tegan, can you unmute and I hear from you?
Yes,
Tegan?
I'm right here.
Good, 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 good. Ntokozo. Ntokozo. Hey, do you see? Nia. Do I pronounce it properly? Nia. Are you there? Nia? Nia, are you there? Okay, unmute. Okay, it shows that you're in class. Amara, are you there? Amara, where are you? Amara. Okay, good. All right. Since, okay, I'll keep checking. Michelle, lastly. Michelle, are you there? Michelle. Michelle is not in class. Let me check. Michelle is not in class. Michelle is not in class. It's just joined and put the phone there and then relaxed. Michelle. Okay, guys, let's continue. Oh, Ntokozo is saying that I can't unmute. All right. Okay. So we call it, what is the problem with the diabetes? Is when the pancreas cannot produce enough insulin, or is when the pancreas not produce at all. Failure of the pancreas to produce insulin, or the insulin can be produced but less. So it depends on whether it's diabetes type 1 or diabetes type 2. But we don't usually bring this diabetes type 1 and diabetes type No, we ask you is when the pancreas fails to produce enough insulin or I cannot produce insulin, how do we call that? It is diabetes mellitus. Don't say sugar diabetes, don't say diabetes. You have to complete that statement and say that diabetes mellitus. So that is done. Here is the question. Here is the question which is linked to diabetes. They're saying that, okay, name the organ. Okay, guys, unmute and then we see if we can answer it together. Unmute, and then we see, because we have 10 minutes now. Which organ is one?
We have 9 minutes.
So which organ is one?
It's the pancreas.
It's the pancreas. Which hormone is two? Okay, let's analyze it. Let's analyze it. This is high level of glucose in the blood. High level of glucose in the blood. Now the pancreas is going to produce hormone 2. You understand? Then it goes to the liver. So meaning that either the liver is going to, you see these dotted lines. At the end, you see, the level of glucose is going to decrease. So which hormones helps in the decrease in the amount of glucose in the blood?
Insulin.
So it means that hormone 2 is insulin. Why? Yeah. Once it is produced, it's going to stimulate the liver to convert glucose, too much glucose, into glycogen. And then now the level of glucose is going to decrease, and then the blood glucose level goes back to normal.
Below.
Yes. And then if you look at this one, now low level of glucose. So now hormone 3 is being released. And then once it's released, it's going to cause the liver increase the blood glucose level. You see, it increases. Meaning that this hormone 3 is glucagon. Correct. The disorder caused by when gland 1 fails to release sufficient amount of glucose. How do you call that?
Isn't it diabetes?
Diabetes.
Mellitus.
Mellitus. Yes. Please don't just stop on diabetes. It's diabetes mellitus. Yes, thank you so much. Mellitus.
Okay.
And they are saying that the mechanism that control the level of glucose in the body.
It's
so please,
negative feedback mechanism.
Correct. Negative feedback mechanism. It's negative feedback mechanism. Someone is saying, they're saying that, sir.
It's
someone was saying pancreas. Which pancreas is that? I don't know what is the pancreas. All right. I was saying about the organ. Organ 1. Yes, organ 1 is the pancreas. Thank you so much. So, guys, you see that all of them is the same story. You see, all of them. The only one which is different is this. Now, who is that? Guys, mute, and then we finish up. This one is different from any other. This one is what? Is different from any other. Amara is saying that if I have a digital copy of this book, unfortunately, we don't give digital copies unless a school buys it. Yes. Yeah, these are books which are being sold in the bookshops. Yes. All right. All right. They're saying that you can access it from our YouTube channel, Thundereduc, and then say join. Yes, you'll be able to get a digital copy of the whole book. Yes. They're saying that regulates the carbon dioxide level. So how do the negative feedback mechanism of carbon dioxide? This one, because carbon dioxide, we don't want it in the body. We don't want it. It cannot say that normal level of carbon dioxide. We don't want it. That's why it only has one way. It doesn't have the second way. We don't want it. So the negative feedback mechanism is to eliminate carbon dioxide from the body. It's the only negative feedback mechanism which is different from any other negative feedback mechanism. So it's the only one which you have to memorize differently. So what happens is the stimulus, meaning that the amount of carbon dioxide in the body. If the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood increase, so what happens? This will lead to the decrease in the pH and the decrease in oxygen. Why is the pH decreasing? Because carbon dioxide, please don't take this one because I'm just explaining it. Ne? Carbon dioxide will react with H2O and then it forms what you call carbonic acid. You see, if it is an acid, it means that the pH is low. That's why you're saying that the pH decreases. When there is too much carbon dioxide in the body, the pH will decrease. So that's the meaning. Now the receptors for low pH will detect. That is the chemoreceptor. Will detect that low pH. And the moment the low pH is detected, yes, the impulse is going to be sent to the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Remember, medulla oblongata is responsible for involuntary actions. Involuntary actions. You understand? Like the heartbeat, the breathing, you understand? So the impulse is going to be sent to the medulla oblongata. What is the medulla oblongata going to do? The respiratory muscles, that's the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, just even if you said the respiratory muscles, yes, they will start to contract and relax too much, meaning that the heart rate, the rate at which you are the rate at which you are breathing and the depth will increase. Let me explain to you. When you breathe like this, that is speed. But if you increase like this, meaning that the depth of taking the air and the rate both increase. You are not only increasing the speed at which you are breathing, but you also increase the depth of the what? Of the breathing. And once that is done, also the heart muscles will contract. And then it means that contract and relax too much, meaning that you increase the heart rate. The heartbeat will also increase so that now carbon dioxide is pumped out of the body. You see? Now, the heart rate increase and more carbon dioxide is removed from the body. And once more carbon dioxide is removed from the body, yes, what happens? The carbon dioxide level will fall. And then what happens? The pH will return to normal, meaning that now the receptor will detect so that, oh, now the pH has been returned to normal, maybe is a little bit of neutral, then it means that I don't need to send any impulse to medulla oblongata. And then the cycle continues like that. So this one is most likely that you will see it among all. It's most likely, people are writing in June, it's most likely to see it in your paper. I'm saying most likely. Don't quote me wrong. Say that, you're going to say that, yeah, sir, you told us the bullet. They call it the bullet. Yes, Kutwano, what are you saying?
So I realized that on the timetable, we only have one life science paper. So are we writing one life science paper or is there paper 2 as well?
Okay, Kutwano, the people who are writing their finals, the people who are going to write their finals in June, May, the 30th of May. They are writing their finals. They are writing paper 1 and paper 2. While the people who are not writing their finals in June, you understand? This is supposed to be covered before June, this topic. You understand? So the people are writing from Gauteng. They are writing one paper. It's gonna be from DNA until the end of the year. If not, until the end of this topic. So it will depend on what they have confirmed. So it means that you have to read until here for this term. For those people who are writing in June, I'm talking about the people who are writing, not here, guys, not here, yeah, up to here. For those people who are writing their final exams in October, but the people who are writing in May, June, take note of that. Mess it up you are messing up with your marks. So I think, guys, that is carbon dioxide. Water is the same story, and then salts is also the same story. Let me just use the 5 minutes so that when I come back, I will start with the skin, because the skin, I need also to drill it. Let me just use 5 minutes, and then I just conclude with this. Regulation of water in the body. How do I regulate? I need to know the hormone is ADH. Which gland? You see now, they're talking about pituitary gland, yet you have been talking about hypothalamus. So it's the same thing. So we can talk about pituitary gland, or we can talk about hypothalamus, depending on how have you phrased it. Hypothalamus produce this hormone and is being stored in the pituitary gland. So they can work concurrently, depending on the language you have used when you are explaining it. So we said that if this one is low level of water in the body, so the last point must be more water is going to be reabsorbed. So it means that the pituitary gland will secrete more ADH because you want to reabsorb more water. And then now the collecting duct of the nephron will make sure that more water is reabsorbed back to the blood. You understand? And then now less is gonna be lost. Less is gonna be what? It's gonna be lost. If less is gonna be lost, this is the time when you're going to urinate urine which is yellowish, meaning that you don't have enough water. More water has been reabsorbed back to the what? To the blood. And once more water has been reabsorbed back to the blood, the amount of water in the blood is gonna increase, and then it goes back to normal. If the amount of water is too much in the blood, meaning that I have to lose a lot so that I bring the level of water in the blood, meaning that now I'm gonna produce less ADH. The nephron is gonna become less permeable. It's gonna become what? The permeability of the collecting duct and distal convoluted is going to decrease, meaning that the nephron is going to become less permeable. If it's less permeable, it means that now less water is going to be reabsorbed, and most of it is going to be lost into the urine. And this is the time when you urinate urine which is colorless. It means that you have enough water in the blood. That's it. And then lastly, I'll do a recap for the next class when I'm doing this for this maybe topic. If you have any challenge, you please let me know before I come to the next class, and so that I'm able to grill those problems before I go to the next topic. Yes. Lastly is aldosterone, salt. Aldosterone, salt, which means salt. So salt is being controlled by a gland called adrenal gland. So I know the adrenal gland. So what is the function of aldosterone? Is also to make the nephron to reabsorb more. So if I have decreased the level of salt, the last point is increase the level of salt. One. So now I know that the adrenal gland, what do I want? I want more salt. So it means that I'm going to produce more aldosterone, so that more aldosterone can make the nephron to absorb more what? Absorb more salt. And then the level of salts will increase and it goes back to normal. Guys, you see that all these negative feedback mechanism thing, as long as you know that diagram, which I say that the location of the gland, the function of the gland, the function of the hormone, the moment you know that, the rest are simple. The rest are simple. They're saying that Michelle was in class. Her Wi-Fi was giving up. Okay, all right. All right, guys. So you guys, you see that everything is in the same story. You just need to know normal. If it is increase here, the last point is decrease. Talk about the gland. Give me the function. Which hormone does the gland produce? Yes, once you know it, and then now tell me the function of that hormone, and then the thing will go back to normal. Simple. All of them. So you guys, when you come back, make sure that you know all the location of the hormone and the function of the hormone. I think, guys, I'm going to stop here. When I come back, I will start from hot day, cold day, and then I will shoot to tropism, and then I will start evolution.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Hey, guys, on Saturday, we don't have a class. On Saturday, we don't have a class. I'm going to be occupied, but I'll let you know. But on Monday, we will have. Yes, on Monday, we'll have. Thank you so much. See you again in the next class.
Okay, so
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.